to our main event, so to speak, the game we'll be at, and this is one we've been looking forward to in South Bend. Ohio State at Notre Dame, top 10 matchup, 7:30 on NBC. Pregame coverage with College Countdown begins at 7 with Maria Taylor and Joshua Perry and Ahmed Fareed and Matt Castle and Mike Robb. So number 6 against number 9. Ohio State technically the higher ranked team. They're also a very slim favorite in this game, but a rematch of the season opener last season where Ohio State won at 21-10 and Notre Dame really performed very well on the road going to Columbus and dealing with that. And yet after that, the wheels kind of fall off for Notre Dame and they lose to Marshall, and then their season as a result is essentially over. But Marcus Freeman quietly got them back on track.
Right.
Eventually they finished the year strong, and so far they did bring in Sam Hartman in the offseason in the transfer portal, and Sam Hartman's done pretty damn well so far. Yeah, he's come out and he has hit the ground running and the firing on all cylinders. I tried to combine the
There
two.
you go.
But either way, they've scored 40 plus in all 4 games they've played, including the week 0 game against Navy. So they're looking to just prove to themselves and to the country that they can get a big win at home, showcase that they're a college football playoff caliber team. Meanwhile, Ohio State finally looked like the dominant team we expected them to against Western Kentucky last week. They put up 63 points, and Kyle McCord has been more and more comfortable with each week. So a lot of storylines, as always, for our game, and we look forward to it. But this is just a massive showdown that the entire nation's going to be watching.
Yeah, and I don't think it's the same kind of game as it shapes up as last year. You know, Marcus Freeman has a whole year under his belt, right? That was his first. I mean, he was there for the bowl game, but that was his first start to the season. He was going against his alma mater. There was a lot of emotion. And this is a different looking Notre Dame team because of Sam Hartman. I mean, even though Notre Dame led at halftime last year, they didn't score in the second half. And they really were not capable of being a productive, prolific offensive football team for the rest of the season because of what they had at quarterback. And now this year, they have a different quarterback. And so they have a guy who's capable of beating a team like Ohio State. Not saying that they will, but they've got the right quarterback. And, you know, Sam Hartman, not only has he been productive, and not only was he productive at Wake Forest, he's an older guy. He's an older, calming presence, very much like Stetson Bennett was at Georgia the last 2 years, right? An older guy playing with 18 and 19-year-olds, and he's, 23, 20, whatever he was. It's a similar feeling with Sam Hartman. He's playing very well, but it's his presence and his leadership that I think is really making a huge difference for Notre Dame as well. So it's a great matchup. I think Kyle McCord took a lot of steps forward last week. Ryan Day officially named him the starter, and then he went out and played his best game. They had been kind of just not great on offense, and people starting to wonder, what's wrong with the offense? We got these receivers, we got these backs. What's the problem? Last week, Kyle McCord put it together, played extremely well. I think they scored on 6 of their first 7 possessions against a team, Western Kentucky, that is pretty good, particularly on offense. So he played well. The last 2 weeks, they've found ways to get the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr., who, I think between he and Caleb Williams are the 2 best players in college football. So they'll continue to do that. And so offensively, I think they're kind of hitting their stride now at the right time. It'll be a big test, going on the road. I know Ohio State opened on the road at Indiana, but this school in Indiana, it will be a much different atmosphere in South Bend that the quarterback will face. But the biggest, probably most promising thing for Ohio State defensively, how well they played against a quarterback that Western Kentucky had and a passing game that is very, very good. And they held their own. They held them down well under their average and, kept them out of the end zone. So very promising going into this matchup with Notre Dame.
It feels like one of the biggest matchups in the game is the Ohio State defensive front against this Notre Dame offensive line that has maybe the best left tackle in all of college football. It feels like Joe Alt and Olu Fashanu, and there are a couple other names, but Joe Alt is outstanding, a clear All-American, and then you've got Blake Fisher on the other side. And offensive line-wise, Notre Dame has been a different level to this point. Now, their opponents have been at a different tier than what they're going to see, but their running game with Audric Estime leading the way. And then if you look at their depth chart, it's actually hilarious because it's Estime clearly number one, and then four guys or.
Right.
And normally you'd look at that and be like, no way. And then when I did the game in week 0 against Navy, it's like, no, they actually play all 5 guys, and all 5 guys contribute at a high level. Biggest reason is because their offensive line is just wonderful. And then on the other side, you've got a defensive front for Ohio State that has looked really stout to this point. So how do you see that matchup going as we get closer to game day and looking towards what really we could see on Saturday in South Bend?
Well, I mean, that's the key to the game, right? Is what happens in the trenches. That, in a game like this, 2 heavyweight teams, who wins the game in the trenches is going to determine the outcome. I mean, Sam Hartman gives them a great chance at quarterback. Kyle McCord is the quarterback, the new quarterback. Ohio State's got a lot of skill, but who wins the game in the trenches is going to determine the outcome of this one. And it'll be interesting because, both teams want to be able to be balanced on offense. Both teams want to be able to run and pass. And both defenses are going to try to limit that and try to make a team one-dimensional. And which team can control the line of scrimmage is going to determine who wins the game. I mean, football is changed a lot. There's a lot of flash and speed and up-tempo and different things. But at the end of the day, games are still won and lost by who plays the best up front, particularly in a heavyweight matchup like this.
Some things just never go out of style, and this matchup will always be at the top of the list. It's Saturday. The Ohio State Buckeyes heading to South Bend, take on the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame in prime time. Here comes Saturday night. We're going to be there. All the coverage. We can't wait. 7:30 NBC, and College Countdown gets us going at 7 o'clock. So hope you'll join us for that one as